Very good afternoon to Intel plus Oracle presents JP Morgan co-presents the Economic Times Global Digital Innovation Summit co-powered by Brilio and Connect with an all-new theme of advancing digital innovation in uncertain times. As we look forward to all of you heading to your social media, commenting on what you think about the summit using our hashtag ETGDI Summit. I'd also like to take a moment and thank our partners for their trust in us. Our presenting partner, Intel plus Oracle, our co-presenting partner, JP Morgan. Let me also thank our co-powered by partner, Brilio and Connect, our cybersecurity partner, Process IT Global, our gold partner, Clear from the makers of Clear Tax, our associate partners, HCL Technologies and Goldstone Technologies. I'd also like to encourage you to visit them at the partner booths, and we have a very special startup zone where you'll find our startup partners, Credgenics, Werfin Tech, SatSure, Jal Technologies Prakriti, YCLEPT4E Labs, and of course, a big thank you to our knowledge partners, Deloitte. The summit has been brought to you by ETH Unwired, and we look forward to a lot of speakers joining us from across the globe. Our opening note is going to be on digitalization, which makes supply chain so much more effective, and we'll be bringing to you doing digital to being digital strategy to a fully digitalized supply chain journey. But before all of that, I'm sure that each one of you attending this particular track agrees when we say that digitalization brings those walls down, makes sure that the supply chain really becomes a more integrated ecosystem that is very transparent to all the stakeholders involved, be it the suppliers, be it the transporters, the finished good transporters, raw material suppliers, and finally, of course, to the customers who really are demanding fulfilled, and so much more today. All this in just a little while, so please do stay tuned to our very special track on supply chain. We welcome you to our very special track on supply chain, and as our opening keynote address on doing digital to being digital strategy to a fully digitalized supply chain journey, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Swapn Malpani, Joint President and Head Global Supply Chain, Cipla. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us, sir.
Thank you, Isha.
Over to you. Our audience is looking forward to learning from you and how you, along with your organization, works.
Sure, Isha. Thanks a lot. So, Isha and Stan, first of all, thanks a lot for inviting me for this session, and I also welcome all the participants. As Isha explained, my address is on strategy to a fully digitized supply chain journey, and I have tried to put 6-7 slides to take you through. About my thinking in terms of how this thing should be approached, and also a little bit on what we are doing at Cipla. So that I can quickly share with you, the key things. And what I thought it will be good to begin with that what exactly it means for a global supply chain when we say doing digital to being digital, the need for us for being digital, the paradigm shifts which are needed in a supply chain strategy. I've also tried to put together a framework for you for digital transformation of supply chain, and then some benefits which a digital supply chain can give us. And at the end, I would like to share with all of you how we are digitizing our global supply chain. So what it means for a global supply chain, and as you can see this slide, there are different level of digitization where organizations can be in their journey. starting with on the left, what you would call is a digital novice or people who begin with their digital journey. And things like network design, transportation management system, spend analytics, strategic sourcing, on the planning side, inventory reduction, and SNOP. They are all how the digital journey starts. As you reach the next stage, you would certainly move towards things like end-to-end supply chain dashboard, real-time visibility and data analytics. Integrated ERP solutions are very important to take you to the next level of digital supply chain. On the logistics side, warehouse automation and track and trace, which allows us ability to really track our product end to end. Similarly, on the procurement side, e-procurement and supply integration, which comes as the next step. And on the planning side, we move from things like SNOP and MRP to integrated business planning, and then the supply chain simulation. And as you really reach the pinnacle of this journey, you will see things like, no-touch prescriptive supply chain, where you have really, digitized your supply chain end to end, and you are driving things like AI-enabled decision making, autonomous supply and loading in your warehousing and management system, entirely connected distribution network, robotics and process automation. On the customer engagement side, it's about customer collaboration and integration, where you have again put your digital network end to end, so that you can end to end, right from your procurement to your customers, have an integrated network and can leverage the digital. And then things like multiple enterprise demand sensing and integrated planning and execution. So the journey, obviously, is as I always say, any improvement journey is an ongoing thing. And digital is also about that. You can start at the first step, as I have shown on the slide, then you become a follower and then a champion. And then also the entire ecosystem evolves, and you need to really keep pace with the evolving ecosystem and keep adapting and keep improving. Now, this is a question which comes to all of our mind. What is the need for being digital, right? Because business can do digital by focusing on isolated initiative, but to truly be digital, they need to ensure that they are digital to the core. And they also redefine the nature of their customer centricity. And I have tried to, also leverage some of the material which is available in various, platforms. And you can see here on the left some of the KPIs which I have tried to put in terms of, what is a linear supply chain and traditional supply chain, which would be across these 4 or 5 parameters, and what would be a digitally enabled supply ecosystem. And as you can see in most of these parameters, or I should say all of these parameters, the digitally enabled supply ecosystem actually allows you to take your supply chain to a different level. And just to give an example, right, in a traditionally linear supply chain, you would see that communication generally is fragmented, right? Either people are not receiving full information, or it is delayed. And you also see that the information which is available with one partner in the entire supply chain versus other, it generally differs. And that leads to a lot of non-productive discussion, that leads to a lot of delay in terms of decision making. Whereas if we can really digitalize our communication end to end, what does it mean is that, first of all, it is very productive, because people really do not keep writing the mails and keep entering the information. The information is on one system and available to all. The same information is available to all, and then it makes your decision making so much agile and so much accurate. On the right of the slide, I have tried to take some data from analysis done by McKinsey, which basically says that as you digitize your supply chain, how your performance levels improve. And as you can see, on the right of the slide, that what kind of efficiency you can drive with a functional excellence. But if you really, integrate digital with your functional excellence, your efficiency and the improvement levels really go significantly higher. And just to, give an example, in transportation and warehousing, you are, say, at a level where we call it a base level. By bringing, more functional excellence, maybe you can drive 10 to 15% improvement. But as you leverage the digital tools and as you digitize your transportation and warehousing, you see that you can achieve efficiencies which are almost double of what a functional excellence will be. And this obviously is done by one of the best firm in the world, right? Where they have done a survey of various firms and have provided this data. So basically, what does it tell is that, being digital really helps us drive in our cost agility service and utilizing our capital much more efficiently. Now, another dimension about how the digital helps us in terms of the paradigm shifts in supply chain strategies, right? And some of the things which I want to talk about here is the movements, right, which happen from maybe a cost center kind of thinking to a competitive advantage driven thinking. But to drive that thinking, you really need to have dynamic response capability, which leads to increase in margin and excellent serviceability end to end. And how do you bring it? You bring it by building that digital core, which I talked about in the last slide, where information is available end to end. The decision making is happening faster, which is leading to dynamic responses. And obviously, the decisions are more accurate, which helps you driving efficient inventory management, great service in terms of the products by managing your demand and supply very, very, efficiently and dynamically, and utilizing your capital effectively. Similarly, on the collaboration, it takes you from the enterprise collaboration to ecosystem collaboration. And within the enterprise, we generally collaborate because we'll have, many tools available. But when you talk about the ecosystem collaboration, it goes much beyond your enterprise on both the ends. On one hand, you have suppliers, suppliers. And on the other hand, you have your distribution network, you have your stockists, you have your channels, and you have your customers. And this entire collaboration allows you to capture the needs on both the sides very, very effectively, whether it is the needs of your supplier and how do you really sync your demand with the suppliers on an ongoing dynamic basis with the platform like, supplier portal, or things like vendor management inventory, which allows them to basically serve you at a much faster pace and also allows you to have inventories which are much more efficiently managed. And similarly, on the customer side, it allows you to have complete visibility of how the end consumption is happening. And using that end consumption, you can really plan your entire production, your demand in a much more efficient manner. The third aspect is here about capability, and the fourth is about data. And fundamentally, what we are trying to say is that as you move from these four, on the left of this slide to the right, the entire digital paradigm shift really helps you from moving from left to the right. I've tried to put a framework here in terms of what really enables the digital transformation of the supply chain. And basically defining this as a strategy, right? I mean, you cannot really do it in a fragmented manner. My advice to any executives or the members who are seeing this presentation would be that you should really define your digital roadmap for at least 2 to 3 years, right? And you should have that kind of thinking because there are various steps, right? As you saw in the first slide, it's a long journey, right? And defining it over a long horizon basically have 2-3 advantages. First is it allows you yourself to get into a very deep understanding, because when you are thinking from a 3-year horizon and how you bring competitive advantage for your organization, then obviously you will look at the landscape and then what is relevant for your organization, and you start putting that entire vision which is linked with your business strategy and goals, as you can see at the top of the slide. And then you translate it into a supply chain operating and governance model, which then has to be driven via integrated execution plan. And then all the functions have to participate because it is about end-to-end supply chain, where procurement, manufacturing, logistics, and the planning all have to come together, and they have to drive this entire transformation. So the key messages which I am trying to give on this slide is that it has to really be a long-term vision and at least a 2 to 3 year roadmap, which is very well thought through. And it's important that you think in the beginning so that then when you start executing, there's already buy-in from all the stakeholders. You have very clearly well-defined strategies, the outcomes and the goals, and then you can really execute them year after year. And obviously it's important that every year maybe you add another year, because as I also said that the ecosystem is evolving very fast, right? When you put a roadmap for 3 years, it can't be started. It has to be looked at least once a year, and the next 2 years maybe need to be retweaked, and then you need to add another year. And that is how it has to be a continuous journey. I've taken another, data from Capgemini, and basically, this talks about the sector-wise benefits of digital supply chain. And I'm sure that all of you would have read a lot about how digital has impacted and benefited supply chains. But this slide, just picks a few examples. And if I, talk about pharma here, as you can see on the slide, it has really helped us improving process stability. It has helped us reducing errors and interferences, right? And it has really brought transparency and standardization. It has helped us in terms of really syncing our, demand, the manufacturing and the supply, all in a manner which is much more efficient, and which has helped us driving, better customer service level, improved inventories, and obviously better inventories on our materials. And this brings me to the last slide, where I would like to give you a glimpse of what we have been doing at Cipla. Digitization has been very core to our heart, right? And one thing which I want to talk about, that as an organization there has to be a sponsorship from the top management. It's extremely important that as you are putting your digitization strategy and the roadmap together, there's complete buy-in and support from the top management and all the top leaders. And as I said, it's a continuous journey. So we put together, this first roadmap almost 4.5 years back, to 5 years back when I joined Cipla. And then as I shared with you, we not only have implemented many things as you are seeing in the slide, but we are also looking at this entire roadmap every year and trying to refine it and trying to add new things. So just some examples, like in the integrated planning, we started 4.5 years back with very basic MRP, because we were at that stage in our digital journey then. But then we very quickly moved to the integrated business planning, and we were actually the first pharmaceutical company in India who completed the successful rollout of integrated business planning. And now we are moving towards the next step, which is enabling the touchless plan. We started leveraging AI and ML almost 3 years back, and that has helped us getting the use cases and putting the models to predict how we can improve our customer service levels. And some of our big businesses, it has really helped us in terms of bringing our customer service levels to the best in the industry. The same is with procurement. When we started 4 years back, we started with very basics, right? And then we slowly started improving. So we started with e-auctions, we went to CVP, we did SRM, and now we are doing VMI. The PRP automations happened 2 years back. Supplier scorecard happened last year. The spend analytics we started investing a couple of years back, and now we are taking it to an automated dashboard. So many of these things which you are seeing, they are part of the journey which we have traveled over last 4 to 4.5 years. And before I end, I would like to re-emphasize just one message which I think is very key. See, I think it's a given that all the organizations have to embrace digital, right? There are no two doubts about it. And in last 2 years, particularly after the COVID crisis hit us, I think everybody has also experienced that the organizations which have embraced digital, how it has really helped them to be competitively ahead of other companies in their industry which did not. I have also seen that a lot of adoption has further accelerated in last 2 years. But my advice is, put together a long-term roadmap, have your top management buy-in, execute it well, and keep looking at every year as the world is moving dynamically. So thanks very much, and hope that these slides will help you taking your digital journey forward. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Malpani, for sharing with us how you, along with the entire team at Cipla, are really working on your long-term roadmap there, how your digital journey has been like, at least in the last 4 to 5 years, and how you are really digitalizing your global supply chain. It's a pleasure listening to you. So really learning experience for all our viewers there. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thanks, Isha, and rest of the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. And on that note, we'd like to bring to you our industry leaders panel discussion up next on creating the unbreakable supply chain. All this and more from our experts in just a bit. But before we present you our expert panelists, I'd like to once again request all of you to join us in our experience zone. Meet and connect with peers from the industry. You're also welcome to visit our startups at the startup zone. You can meet with all the organizations coming up with some great ideas. So a lot happening on this very interactive platform. Do be a part of it. In just a bit, we'll be back with our panel discussion.